Welcome. Before I begin talking about week 1, I would like to remind you that all important announcements I will put here on Moodle. And if you have any questions, you can also post them here besides emailing me. And of course, here is your course syllabus. I have posted a syllabus overview for you in week 1. I would like for you to watch the overview, but then really thoroughly read the syllabus and email me that you have done that and you understand the syllabus. All right, finally, into week 1. Please be sure to take a moment to introduce yourself to the rest of the group via the introductions forum space as soon as possible at the beginning of this instructional week. There are a few of you that I know, but there are several that I have not had in class, so I'm very anxious to meet you. Also, please keep in mind that this course is about content reading of nonfiction, informational texts. Okay, learning outcomes this week. You're going to be able to define reading and understand the components of the reading process. You will understand the responsibilities of the teacher in building and activating schema in reading comprehension. Identify and apply the reading skills and/or thinking strategies that are necessary for success in all content areas. You will investigate the use of book clubs or literature circles in the content areas. We often talk about literature circles using fiction, where you can also do it with nonfiction. And you will understand the impact of those book clubs and literature circles on interest and motivation in your readers. Assigned readings are chapters 1 and 2 of the Daniels and Zellman text. Chapter 1, the core purposes of reading. This chapter begins with 2 different scenarios of reading. It's obvious which is the best practice to use when you're teaching content. As Daniels and Zellman state on page 9, we want students to engage in our subjects, to think, to remember, to build knowledge, and to care. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, there are specific strategies that we can teach students to get to that deeper meaning of text. We need to teach students how to visualize ideas and situations that they read in text. We need to show them how to make connections with text, as well as their own background. We need to teach them how to notice and ask questions of the text. And this part can be kind of confusing because, you say notice and ask questions of the text. Okay, well, who, what, when, where, why? That's not what they're talking about. These kind of questions that we want students to ask themselves, for example, why did the author use that particular term to describe the surface of Mars? Things that they're thinking about in their heads. They're not just reading the word on the page. We want them to draw inferences, in other words, make predictions. We want them to determine what is important when they're reading, because not everything you read is important, and they don't know how to sift through that to figure out what's important and what isn't. We want them to summarize and synthesize information. Summarize and synthesize do not mean the same thing. We want them to notice and analyze the author's craft and style. And we also want them to adjust their thinking while reading. They need to know it's okay to have an opinion when they start, but after they've read the text or while they're reading it, that may shift their opinion. That's what we want readers to do. Chapter 2 goes right on with this about how smart readers think. Oftentimes, we have heard teachers say students can read the text, but they can't comprehend it. Well, the information in this chapter takes a deeper look as the why this is the case. Reading is more than decoding or word calling. Reading is an active process. You're trying to create meaning from those words. You're reaching back into your schema. Good readers have many strategies they use to comprehend text. I've already mentioned those strategies when I went over chapter 1. But quickly, I will review them again. We want readers to visualize, make connections to their own experiences, to the world, and to other readings. We want them questioning or wondering about the text. We want them to make inferences, to hypothesize, to interpret, to draw conclusions. We want good readers to evaluate. We want them to analyze, to notice the text structures, the author's craft, the vocabulary, the purpose, the theme, the point of view. We want them to be able to recall, not just retell, but summarize and remember the important information. And we want them to self-monitor, to recognize when something doesn't make sense. We know that prior knowledge is the main determinant of comprehension. The example on page 32 is a great example to use when talking about schema. Before asking students to read a text, we want to provide an introduction of what the text will be about. We want to activate the prior knowledge they have on the content that we're going to be talking about. Reading is staged and it's a recursive process. Before I say that it is staged and recursive, there is a before reading, during the reading, and after the reading. In our text, pages 90 and 91, they list several before, during, and after strategies to use in your classroom. Notice that the first strategy to use is think alouds, which is modeled for you in week 1 by my colleague and good friend, Sherry Jacobs. All of these strategies are modeled first for the student. Then you practice together. Then the students try it with teacher support. And then finally, the student is able to use the strategy independently. There are 2 texts by Janet Allen, The Flip Charts, The Tools for Teaching Content Literacy, and More Tools for Teaching Content Literacy. Both of these books contain strategies for teachers. Each strategy includes a brief description and purpose for each, a research base that documents the origin and effectiveness of the strategy, graphic organizers to support the lesson, classroom vignettes from different grade levels and content areas to illustrate the strategy in use. So that's going to be really easy for you when you have to do your lesson plan and you're picking that strategy that you're going to use. because she tells you exactly how to do it and provides graphic organizers if they're needed. They are in the back of the flip charts. Well, students need to be taught about the structures of nonfiction text. For example, chronological order, cause and effect, steps in a process, problem and solution, compare and contrast, and physical description. Students also need instruction concerning nonfiction text features. Features are things such as the title page, the table of contents, captions, labels, bold print, etc. In the resource section of week 1, you'll find, maybe, oh my goodness, I haven't put them in there yet. But there's patterns of text structure in informational text. And there's also a text features chart that will be in this section. Read pages 41 through 43 carefully. As always, if you have any questions, please ask me. You can email me through QuickMail on Moodle or call my cell at 614-565-9107 or also text that number. Thank you.